Marvel Legends and I have an interesting relationship. I have a lot of Marvel Legends. I have, since the Mandroid wave came out, where Hasbro changed to, I think it's called the Infinity series, or whatever it's called, changed the packaging and moved to this style of box and everything. I have all of them that have released since that Mandroid line. I say all of them that have commercially released or released at any form of convention, to my knowledge. The only ones I don't have were the Marvel Unlimited digital comic subscription figures. It is a gold Ultron, a gray suit Captain Marvel, a Rocket Raccoon that looks almost identical to two other Rocket Raccoons I have, and this year it was Tony Stark in the suit, which I want. I'd love to pick up all four of those just because they're the butt to me saying I have all.
I like big butts and I cannot lie.
I have all the rest that I know of. So there may be something I don't have, but I have a lot. It is an impressive part of my collection. You can't see it here off screen, but I'll tag a link to the video where you can watch it. But it also is a money pit. And we all know, if we all collect Marvel Legends, we know it's a money pit. And as I have got into Hot Toys, Mezco, Figuarts, Mafex, Play Arts Kai, Reveltech, some of these other lines, I just feel like I'm getting a lot more bang for the buck on those lines than I am Legends. However, because I have them all, and I kind of have an OCD thing about that where I want them all, until I decide to sell all of these, I'm going to keep getting them all. So that brings me to this wave here. I brought them from CMD store out of Canada, so I got this wave early. The thing I like about this wave is I think other than Spider-Woman, every one of these figures I don't have one. I know that there are some Toy Biz versions. I only have a few Toy Biz and early Hasbro. So that's cool. That's cool to get a bunch of new figures. Even if some of them are reused, remolded, repainted, whatever.
Recycle, reduce, reuse, and close the loop.
Don't forget, it's up to us.
But at least it's cool to get some new ones. I'm especially most excited for Gwenpool. I love the Gwenpool comic. I'm very sad that it has been canceled. I think she's funny. And I think enough people didn't give it a chance. They just thought, oh, female Deadpool or Gwen Stacy's Deadpool or whatever. And Gwenpool is just incredibly unique in and of herself. I'll talk more about her later when we get her on the table. But I've got this wave here, the Lizard Wave. We're going to put them all on the turntable, look at each one of them, see if there's something you like, and then look at that Lizard Build-A-Figure as well. So I hope you enjoy. Our first figure from the Spider-Man Lizard Build-A-Figure wave is Gwenpool. I was really excited to get this character. Gwenpool is a comic that I enjoy reading. I mentioned it's being canceled. That makes me sad. I like this figure very much. She has two head sculpts. The one I have on her kind of has her biting and sticking out her tongue a little bit. The other one I have here is just a regular face sculpt. She's smiling. She's got a cell phone there. She's taking a selfie. If you're familiar with the character, you know that's what she does. She is a character that is from the real world, quote unquote, and is trapped in the comic book world, and her secret power is she knows who everyone is. So she knows that Spider-Man is Miles Morales, for instance, or Peter Parker, depending on who she would encounter. And that's kind of her secret power, so she knows the way comic books are written, how they should go, and it makes it interesting, because that's kind of the way she gets out of trouble. She has the penguin there as a backpack that holds her swords. I like that. She has 4 other hands in addition. She actually has more accessories than anything else in this wave. Most of them do not have a lot of accessories with them. Really excited to get this with Mafex releasing a Gwenpool later this year. I imagine I'll pick that up as well. However, I think this is a really nice Marvel Legend, and I think this one will be pretty popular. So that's Gwenpool. Here we have the Spiderman Noir figure. And again, what you see is what you get. He comes with those 2 pistols. The trench coat is already on him. It can come off. And that is the extent of what comes with the figure. Not very many accessories again. I think this figure is pretty good. Again, it's a figure I don't have in my collection, so I'm excited to have that. Have something new. The Spider-Verse spider shelf has gotten pretty vast. So I could have done without several of these new Spider-Verse characters, but at the same time, I know that there's a lot of desire for new Spider-Verse characters, so I don't mind it. I wish his guns were a little better. I do like the coat, and I do like the way it looks, kind of the glossy paint. But it's a pretty straightforward figure. And if you want to complete the Lizard, it is a figure you need to get. So that is Spiderman Noir. Here we have the Mysterio figure from the Lizard Wave. And this figure is actually quite neat. He has these smoke magic effects that I can't recall getting with any of the newer Legends that I own. So I'm not sure if they're a brand new part or if they're something that has been used in the past, but I like them. He has the cape and kind of the fishbowl helmet, which does remove, and you can see a head that is similar to that smoke effect, that green effect. So I'm pleased with the accessories that come with Mysterio. I think it looks really good. Nice to have this on the shelf as well. Certainly one of the better figures in this line. I can see a lot of uses for those effects for other figures, for photo shoots, etc. And may even take that cape and helmet, try that on other figures as well. So this is a pretty good figure and one that I definitely recommend. Next we have the Spider-Woman figure. This is her more modern costume. I believe in the comics she had a pregnancy arc as well. I'm not sure if that is a thing that they could have put on a figure and put on the toy aisle, but would have at least been interesting to see. This figure is pretty basic. I'm not a big fan of it. The only accessory are those red sunglasses that are removable. But that is the extent of the figure. So you're not getting a lot for your $20, $22, $17, I guess, depending on where you buy your Marvel Legends. You're not getting a whole lot for the money. But to my knowledge, it's the first Spider-Woman with this design, so that's neat. And again, it's different than anything else I have on my shelf, so I'm ultimately not disappointed. I just wish that maybe she could have had some alternate hands or alternate face sculpt or something additional in the box. That is the Spider-Woman figure. Okay, next up we've got the Spider-Punk figure. This figure is really, really great. See the guitar there? It's got a clean white paint. There is a lot of detail on the guitar. I just wish there was some other paint on it than the little bit of blue. You'll see when it comes back around. The denim vest is cool. The spikes are cool on his head and on the vest. He has one hand that has a pick in it, the other hand doing the rock and roll. He does have 2 alternate hands. One that is kind of holding the frets, which is neat. So instead of having the rock and roll, you could have him really playing the guitar. The other hand is a standard fisted hand. I do like this figure. Again, like I said, I have so many variants of Spider-Man, Spider-Verse figures on my shelf. But this one is different than one I have, so I'm excited to have it. I actually just got the punk rock zombie figure in a mega box for the Walking Dead McFarlane figure, so I'm getting a couple Mohawk guitar, play the guitar type figures over the last couple months, so that's just an interesting coincidence. But I think this figure is nice. You can see the logo on the back of his vest. It's got detail. This is one of the more detailed figures of the line. It's got the Chuck Taylor shoes. All around, this is a great figure. If you're just going to pick up one or two of them, this is definitely one you should consider. Okay, next up is the Lasher figure. I do like the paint. I think it looks solid. Really nice paint job, paint details. My issue with this figure is that it is just a complete reuse of the Superior Venom figure. I know the Superior Venom figure is one of the harder recent Marvel Legends to find and goes for a decent price in the aftermarket if it has the Rhino Build-A-Figure piece with it. And I love that figure. I think that figure looks great. And I think this figure looks great. I just wish for my money that Hasbro would give us some new parts, something other than just a repaint. I understand how business works, and they need to make margin where they can make margin, but it just feels like asking us to buy literally the exact same figure that we've just painted differently is kind of a cheating. But that being said, if you do not have Superior Venom, or if you really want a Lasher, this figure is really solid. I like the mold. I like the tentacles. I like the paint. It's pretty posable. You can do some unique things with it. And I don't think you'll be let down by it. My complaint is just more wishing that they would put a little more investment into some of these molds. So that is the Lasher figure. Okay, next up we've got the Prowler figure. And once again, this is a new figure for my shelf. So that's a good thing. I think this is a good figure. The cape mechanism is a little unusual. It doesn't really seat real well. Covers up his face somewhat. But I do think it looks pretty good. Overall, I do like this figure very much. I like the kind of open hands, like he's ready to attack. The logo on the chest looks good. The paint details looks good. Again, my complaint here is just what you see is what you get. No other accessories. And maybe I just have a short memory and we haven't been getting a lot of accessories with our Marvel Legends. But it just feels like this wave specifically does not have a whole lot of extra things with it. You get the figure, whatever the figure's clothing is, if it's a helmet or a cape or whatever, and then Lizard. I think 2 figures came with extra hands and only Gwenpool came with an extra face sculpt. So not a lot of extra accessories, and I know I have a tackle box full of Marvel Legends accessories that came from something. So maybe they're making a change. I do think the paint details on some of these are more impressive, but also, like we've talked about, we've seen a lot of reused parts. So maybe they're just trying to make more money off their Legends. Maybe their cost of production has gone up. I'm not sure. I will say that I think the Build-A-Figure is really, really good. We'll look at that next. But maybe that's where the money's going. But this figure is nice. I really like the purple and green color scheme with the yellow. And I think he'll pop nicely on my shelf. So let's now look at the Lizard Build-A-Figure. Alright, so finally, here we have the Lizard Build-A-Figure. And this thing is outstanding. For all of my small complaints that I had about the rest of the line, this just well makes up for it. There is incredible detail. You look on the coat there and you see the bottom of it being dirty from being in the mud. The tail is articulated. Look at the little holes on the coat, both at the bottom and the top, and the arms from ripping through. It's got articulated toe joints as well as an ankle pivot. The detail on the pants is outstanding. It has a hinge on the jaw. I don't think the tongue is removable, but I'm not sure that I'd want it removed anyway. Had a little trouble getting it just to work on this turntable here so you could see it. just because of how wide it ends up being with the tail, or deep, I guess is the right term. I wish his legs did straighten out more. You're kind of left to using a unique bent leg tail posing mechanism because his legs do not fully straighten out, at least not in a usable way. But I'm not sure why you would want to do that anyway. I think I like this better. I do have the Marvel Select Lizard. I do think I like this better. This is just a really, really nice Build-A-Figure. And I'm a big fan of it. And maybe that's why a lot of these other figures didn't come with any accessories, because of how much money was being spent on this Build-A-Figure. I don't know. This is certainly a more impressive in terms of size and cost, I would imagine, than the Okoye Build-A-Figure with the Black Panther wave. I love the Okoye figure. I just wish that was a regular figure and not a Build-A-Figure. And it certainly has a lot of detailed sculpting and such on it. But this is a much larger scale, much more impressive figure in my opinion.